All right, we are now officially recording. Uh, so good morning, everyone. As I start out all webinars, I always like to say thank you for all the hard work and everything that you do for students throughout our system. Uh, I know it's always a busy time of year for everyone, so thank you for taking the time to be here this morning. We have a few agenda items to catch everybody up on, and as we go, if you have any questions, feel free to throw those in. Um, I just want to give a brief overview. Sort of, these are the areas of student life that uh, our office here or my office here at the system office oversees, and so we on these calls, I'll always try to hit on a little bit of these topics as we go along the way. With me, I have Mr. Shane Bryson and Mr. Gilbert Humberger. I'll get them to formally introduce themselves in a moment. And so before we do that, today's official agenda is here. And so Mr. Humberger and Mr. Bryson will give some N4C SGA updates. I'll give some updates from the state board meeting, which is this Thursday and Friday, some items of interest to our colleges and people throughout the system in sort of the student life areas, and then we'll open the floor up to questions and have a wonderful conversation from there. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Umberger to introduce himself and have the floor.
All right, thank you, JJ. Good morning, everybody. Glad that you could be with us this morning. Just some updates on N4CSJ. As you can see from the slide before you, our next board meeting is this Saturday, September the 17th. We'll be at Randolph. We are still currently seeking 2 students to serve on the executive board. We are still looking for a local interactions chair and also an Eastern Division representative. So if you have students who are interested in that, please let us know, and then we can certainly get them interviewed and on the board. Also, division meetings are coming up next Saturday, September the 24th. Central Division will be at Alamance Community College. The Western Division meeting is at Gaston, and Johnston Community College will be hosting the Eastern Division meeting. Fall conference also is coming up. Those dates on the screen are incorrect. It is not October 6th through the 9th. It is actually October 28th through the 30th, and JJ's pointing at himself. He put this presentation together, so don't freak out if you're thinking that we're going to the beach the first weekend in October. It is actually the last weekend in October, so that's the 28th through the 30th. Not many schools have registered for fall conference yet. I checked my list today, and as of right now, we have 5 schools who are registered for fall conference. Division meetings are looking pretty good. Just to go through this real quick, Western Division, of the 19 schools, we have 10 schools registered and 9 not registered for division meeting. Central Division of 16 schools, we have 10 that are registered, 6 schools are not registered. And Eastern Division of 24 schools, we have 10 schools registered and 14 schools not registered for the division meetings next Saturday. Membership dues have also continued to come in, and out of 58 colleges, we have 25 schools that have not paid their 2016-17 membership dues. And if you have received a receipt from me for any payment, then that lets you know what you have actually paid for if you've received a receipt from me. I will say we did at our last meeting decide what the contests were going to be for the fall conference. Those are going to be, obviously, because it's Halloween weekend, pumpkin carving contest. They decided on a costume contest, and they're also planning on doing the lip sync battle. So all 3 of those contests will be taking place the weekend of October 28th through the 30th at the Atlantic Beach DoubleTree. And if you've not reserved your rooms, be sure to get your rooms reserved. Like I said, the DoubleTree is the host hotel. If they happen to be full, then our overflow hotel is the Hampton Inn and Suites in Pine Knoll Shores, which is just right down the road. And of course, reservation cutoff for DoubleTree is September the 27th. So that's about 2 weeks. And the cutoff at the Hampton Inn is September the 28th. So if you have not reserved your rooms at either location, be sure and do that. The other thing with DoubleTree, because I know a lot of our schools pay with a check, you've got to make sure that the hotel gets that check prior to you arriving, because they're not going to take any checks at arrival for payment of rooms. And so I'm looking at the stuff that went out, and so it says they need it 3 weeks prior to arrival, so that's Friday, October the 7th. So the DoubleTree is going to need, your school check for your hotel rooms by October 7th if you're paying with the school check. So make sure you get that to them. Trying to think if there's anything else. JJ, anything else you can think of that I'm missing?
Do you want to talk about the format of the conference workshop?
Yes. Because of responses that we have gotten off of the evaluations the last couple of years based on what students are looking for, something that we're going to do that's going to be brand new for fall and spring conferences are going to be tracks. And that also was included in the information that went out about conference. There will be 3 tracks. One will be for leadership development and community service. One will be for campus activities, and the third one will be political and civic engagement. The reason for this is we know that when you bring students to conference, they are there for different reasons. Some want to develop themselves as leaders and develop their leadership skills, hence why we have the leadership development track. Some are more interested in how they can offer better campus activities, or what kind of activities can they offer. So hence we have the campus activities track. And then you have those students who are interested in the political process, advocacy, how they can make change, who they need to talk to make those changes, and so forth. And so we're going to offer the political and civic engagement track. At the division meetings on next Saturday, we will have a new delegate workshop. That is also something that students continually ask for and that we think is important. So one of the workshops that will be offered during the workshop block on next Saturday will be for new delegates. So those of you who have brand new students, and this will be their first, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but their first time being at an N4CSJ conference division meeting, strongly recommend you make them go to the N4CSJ New Delegate Workshop on next Saturday so they can find out what is the N4CSGA, what is the purpose of the N4CSGA. If they want to say, hey, how do I become an officer on the executive board next year, we're going to talk about that. Because again, that's the feedback we've been getting from students, is they want to know what is N4C and so forth. So that workshop will be offered next Saturday at all of the division meetings. So just make sure that you tell them to go to that. As far as food, we're going to have a Hawaiian luau on Friday night at the fall conference at the hotel, and we've already got the menu for that. So we're looking forward to having that. Of course, the board is working on the workshop presenters for the tracks, and getting everything together for that so that this can be a great conference.
Thank you, Mr. Umberger. As I was Googling and just had a few free moments this afternoon, or yesterday afternoon, searched some different cultural enrichment activities that students can do while you are taking your students to the conference. And so these are some of the wonderful items that I found. A lot of them are free, but some of the outdoor activities in terms of reserving kayaks and boats and things do have costs associated with those. And so you want to make sure that you make those reservations ahead of time and go from there. On to agenda item number 2. I received a email and a phone call from the representative of the Judicial Branch Rural, and they have sent some information to me that I will disseminate to everyone regarding having local judicial officers or people who serve in the judicial branch serve as campus presenters and speakers around civic engagement, law, obviously the election and things that are sort of on everyone's mind as we're going on into this fall. The URL at the bottom will lead you directly to their website where you have additional information to reserve a speaker, and you can also see a list of who may be available in your area. It's a wonderful service, 100% free, and I think that it would be a great benefit to our students. On to agenda item number 3. So the State Board of Community College meets this Thursday and Friday, and Ms. Stovall, who is our N4C SGA president, is serving as a student liaison and will be attending that meeting. But as I was going through the agenda for this particular meeting, there are a few items of interest that I thought individuals on our campuses who may dabble in advising and other things would be interested in knowing about. And so here are a few. First, as you know, the NC Career Coach program has been going on for at least a year now, and so they have an annual report from the first year. And last year there were 14 colleges with 28 coaches, and they received just at $500,000. This year that funding is increasing, and I think the number of coaches and applications will be increasing as well. And so I think if you are a coach or if you sort of partner with a coach, it's important that you know that these individuals are in our high schools trying to talk to students and pre-engage them in the enrollment process before coming to our campus. And they're also there to serve and help students really figure out what they want to do as they matriculate from high school to either a 2-year or 4-year institution. And so that agenda item for that report is going on, and you will, if you would like, you can log on to the system office website and read the board minutes and agenda, and you will see that information presented there for you. Also, for the folks that deal with career and college promise, the pre-ACT scores are on the agenda to be approved to match the ACT scores as well. The sophomore test, the plan is being phased out, and the pre-ACT will be taking place of that. And so they are going to mirror the scores of the pre-ACT in the 10th grade with that of the final ACT that students take. And as students are applying for career and college promise, one of the ways that they can be exempt from placement testing would be to meet these score cutoffs. On the finance committee side of the world, I'm sure you know that many of the system office projects or system construction projects are going on at individual campuses. And if you'd like to see a comprehensive listing of all those construction projects, you can, to see what's going on and how colleges are spending the Connect NC bond money. There are some wonderful instructional technology things going on. There's some great new buildings and facilities that are being added throughout our system. And if you'd like to see a comprehensive listing of all those projects, you can log on to the Finance Committee report of the State Board of Community Colleges and see those itemized by campus and by cost. Additionally, as you know, many of the colleges have partnerships with nearby institutions to increase the RN, BSN transition, and that on the Finance Committee agenda for this upcoming meeting, there is an agenda item to increase funding to further research opportunities and ways for students to obtain a BSN and further through partnerships with the community college and other allied health agencies in the nearby area. And so that's also a wonderful opportunity. And you can read about some of the programs and items that are already on the plate and that exist. And I think you'll see that, our system is doing everything that they can to assist, our nurses are in our field. This next slide is quite interesting, and I try to put a lot of information in a very, very small window, so hopefully it all makes sense. But sort of a did you know, I want to say, did you know about the system office? Since January of 2015, there have been 21 presidential changes that have taken place in terms of the leadership of colleges in our system. And this is, definitely significant when you think about how our colleges are evolving and what's going on in our system currently. And so yeah, there are some announced retirements that are going to be forthcoming as well. And this number will just continue to slowly creep up, but our system has undergone a significant change in just almost a year and a half. Dr. Williamson, when he initially came, he wanted to do a statewide tour, not only by service area and by college, and so he set up 10 regional tours where colleges would be able to send representatives in their particular service area to speak about things that are of interest to them in their community. And so he's completed 7 of those, and he has 3 left. I believe they're all Eastern. And if you would like to see his travel schedule or some of the items that have been brought up, that information is also in the Community College State Board report as well. As I mentioned earlier, the Connect NC bonds are, money is flowing in and out, and things are really exciting. Miss Jennifer Haygood has been promoted to the Chief of Staff, and so the system office is currently looking for a CFO to sort of replace her, and so her position now will be fully internal to the system. Dr. Lamb of Edgecombe Community College is the president of the President's Association for this upcoming year, and if you engage with her, congratulate her, but also if you would like to know some of the items and things that are going on from the President's Association, the System Office, the President's Association, and the Trustee Association, they are working on the legislative agenda, and that meeting is scheduled for October 19th and 21st for that agenda to be crystallized and come together. And as you see from October is a very busy month, not only with internal conferences to our system, but also other student conferences in terms of SGA, student activities, etc. And so the system conference, we hope you all attend. It's October 7th through 9th, and it is in us. I don't think that date is right. I want to say it's October 9th through the 11th. I apologize. Here in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'll make sure I correct the slide. But the system conference is a wonderful opportunity to find out what's going on throughout our system and really learn, professionally, learn and professionally grow. The IPS conference is for all the IT professionals, and the ACBO conference is all business office and financial aid. And so you'll see your campus departments empty out as you go. In some sadder news, Dr. Kim Sepich, who's the Associate Vice President for Student Services, will be leaving as of next Friday. It's her last day with us. And as you know, Dr. Sepich oversees our department here at the System Office, and we're definitely happy for her that she has a new opportunity, but we are definitely going to miss her and the work that she's done over these last few years. She has taken a position at Valencia College in Orlando, Florida, to be the Vice President of Student Affairs. And if you know anything about Valencia College, they are quite a leader in a number of research and strategic planning initiatives and national research studies, and so it's definitely a wonderful opportunity for her. But we are definitely sad to see her move on. Before I continue, does anyone have any questions about anything that I just went over before we continue? All right. If not, a few weeks ago, um, this idea really came based through a conversation with a number of individuals and trying to find a good way to assist individuals in our system who may be new to their position, but also, find out who are the vendors that individuals are utilizing to offer campus activities, events, and things of that nature. And so if you follow the URL below, I've created a Google form that basically asks a few basic questions of, if you could please list all the student activity vendors that you utilize, and as well as, I believe another question is, who are some speakers or campus presenters that you've used in the past? And then also, who would you recommend, who you wouldn't recommend? And once this information has been gathered and compiled, I will upload this to the Community College System website and as well as disseminate it out to everyone so you can see the types of vendors and who may be a great contact for someone to offer on-campus program that you may not be currently utilizing. So as I send out the materials for the presentation recording, I'll make sure that I include this information in there, and I'll give a pretty big window in terms of a timeline in gathering feedback. But ultimately, individuals, it's easy. Sometimes it's easier to pick up a phone and call, but if individuals are busy at their respective campuses, I wanted to have a publicly accessible resource that you can easily find with this information. And so I'll make sure I send that out later today. As always, I'd like to sort of open the floor for any Q&A, and as we continue, if you have a question, make sure you introduce yourself, throw your question out there, and we'll go from there. Before we officially respond, we did, I think many of us received a question last night from the individuals at Roanoke Shawan. I believe it was Ms. Wiggins that indicated, that asked this question. And so I'll either pose this to the group, or Mr. Umberger and Mr. Bryson, feel free to jump in. What are some best practice training ideas that you utilize for leadership retreat for clubs and organizations? Does anybody have a particular response they'd like to offer? Anybody?
Well, I'm in the middle of building this for my school, so I don't really have an answer right now.
Gotcha. Well, I figured most people would be fairly quiet this morning, and so I put together a list of training ideas that I think are always helpful. I always try to start any training off with, some get to know you activity, or something to just, bring everybody comfortable and bring them together, especially with advisors, because sometimes advisors, if you don't have a specific training for advisors at the beginning of the year for all of your clubs and organizations, sometimes they don't know each other as well or know exactly what their clubs and organizations do. And so it's always helpful to, facilitate that conversation and go from there. I would always recommend sort of knowing your mission, vision, values. What's your purpose of having clubs and organizations at your institution? What do your advisors think clubs and organizations are doing for your institution? What do students think? Also, what do administrators think? What do administrators think about the purpose and mission of student activities and clubs and organizations and what you do? And so is it more of a social arm? Is it a co-curricular arm? Is it a a student life activity arm? So it's really important to have those conversations out there so that people understand and can begin dialoguing about the different roles that how people perceive student life at your institution. I know Mr. Bryson has one of these, because I stole a version of his and some others to create ours, and that is creating a handbook that you have for your club advisors, and in that you talk about the student activities that your department offers, but also including things as I think I put it down here. Forms and fiscal policies, how to request a check. You want to make sure you sort of outline that in the simplest form possible. The processes for utilizing a P card to make a purchase for your club and organization. The process of hosting an event on campus or off campus, or a fundraiser should your institution allow you to do that. And so it's, a handbook can be a great tool in order to help individuals explain these processes, and it's something that if you invest the time up front, of course you're going to get questions on it, but it's a way to answer questions holistically without sort of addressing them for each individual instance. If your organization uses Robert's Rules of Order, I'm sure many of us have presentations that we can send and go from there and things of that nature. And a number of presentations have been done by Mr. Umberger and as well as students who serve on the N4C SGA board, and so we can send you those resources as well as I'm sure he may be willing to travel to your institution to either do one in person, record it, etc. I always encourage organizations to spend a lot of time on requesting money. I know a number of our institutions, student activities, we have some really crazy purchases, and we really understand what those purchases are, but sometimes we don't do a great enough job explaining how they tie into what we do. So if you're buying lays for a conference delegation, or gift cards to give away for some type of activity that you may have on your campus, you always want to make sure that you spend a lot of time explaining the fiscal and financial policies. Obviously, you want to make sure you're spending your money wisely, but also within the rules and regulations of your institution. One thing that I always tried to do at Alamance was ensure that we were collaborating with academic departments for our activities, and so we always spent a number of time thinking about activities and events on campus and how we could partner with those academic organizations to enhance their programming. And so it could be simple things. It could be things that are sort of fun and cheesy, but also it could be things that are more serious nature. And so a few of the ideas, just some simple things. For example, we took our anatomy and physiology students, we sponsored a trip to the Bodies Revealed exhibit in Greensboro, and sort of the where you were able to see the live organs and things of that nature. And so it was a fun student trip, and instructors were able to bring their classes, but we were also to bring other students, and so it was a way to sort of bridge the two together. And so always look for ways to bridge that gap between academics and what people consider the extracurricular, and find ways to have wonderful activities on your campus. And then, your role as the advisor, and how you are there to serve and help institutions, and go from there. Does anybody have any other particular thoughts or any other ideas? Everybody's on mute. Y'all are a quiet bunch.
Hey, JJ.
Mm-hmm.
On a different subject, and I put this in the question, nobody's responded, so I'm assuming that the answer is yes, but we did send out the local interactions survey The deadline to complete that is this Friday because the executive board will be meeting on Saturday and looking at those results from the local interaction survey. And just to kind of give the folks that are on the call what's going to happen or what next steps are on that based on the operational guidelines and the N4 City Constitution, we send the survey out, we get feedback from the schools. And then the N4C will take that information and the local interaction chair will then share it with the 3 division chairs. So next Saturday at the division meetings, each of the division chairs are going to share with their division what the local interaction survey results were, and then ask each division, and hopefully this will happen next Saturday, that discuss it and then hopefully make a motion from division as to what that division would like to see the local interaction chair focus on in the N4 CSGA issue to be for the year. And if we get a motion from each division, then those 3 motions will go back to the local interactions committee chair, and they will look at those 3, and then they will present those 3 motions or the 3 ideas that come from division at the first local interactions committee meeting at the fall conference at Atlantic Beach. And then from there, those 3, we hope to narrow that down to 1, and then everybody will vote on that one issue, and that will be the focus of the N4 CSGA for the year. So just want to remind everybody of that and what the next steps are. And so if you haven't done the survey, please, sit down with, even if it's just your SGA board, sit down and discuss with them, because that's what I did, because we didn't have any senators or what have you, so we basically met with the executive board, presented the survey to them, got their feedback, and we submitted the survey. So.
Does anybody else have any thoughts or questions? Any announcements? Anybody want to announce anything they may have going on?
Gilbert, I know this is kind of early, but have you guys gotten started on the legislative visit for this year?
No.
Have any idea of the time frame?
We have not, and yeah, that'll be something right now we'll have to talk with Kirsten, because she was originally elected as the local interactions chair. She's now the president, and she has been meeting with Mary Sheeping, so that and I think this year's the long session, if I recall correctly. So
it is.
We can make that happen. So that's I will put that on my list of items to talk with Kirsten about.
Also, you guys may want to, before we get to that, there may be, I know school people will probably keep up with this on their own, but there are some people who just don't, so you may want to consider it. There will be some people whose representatives change after the election, so we may want to update that. Like, I know we give out a list. I don't know where that list comes from. I don't know if it's something that we build or we get from somewhere else. So we may, if it's something we build, we may want to get that updated. Okay. So that it reflects who their representatives actually are by the time we have the visit.
All right.
Sorry, there is a question on the floor from Ms. Watt at Ms. Watts at Davidson County Community College. Hope everything's going well out there. What are other campuses doing in terms of voter registration activities? Does anyone have a particular answer to this question?
Well, Lynn, to answer your question, our volunteer services office, the director in there, Erin Riney, she is coordinating all efforts on our campus for voter registration and drives and so forth. And I don't know how she did it, but she contacted Jim and Jerry, and they're coming on September 27th, I think it is. I think that's National Voter Registration Day. And they're going to be giving out free ice cream on campus to students and faculty and staff. And we're also doing, we did this last year during the election, like right before March or whatever. We're calling it biscuits and ballots. And so we went to Biscuitville and bought a bunch of biscuits. And then we kind of had like a rally with students and all and talked about the importance of voting and why they should register. And then we actually have on our campus, we are an early voting registration site for Durham County. We were approached by the Durham County Board of Elections to do that, and we discussed it. We said, yeah, because it would give our students the opportunity to vote if they lived here in Durham County, vote while they were on campus taking their classes and do early voting. And from what I gathered, we had a lot of students that did that. So, like I said, we did the biscuits and ballots thing to get students over to the early voting site and see where it was and where they could vote. And then I think another activity that Aaron is doing is going to be called Pizza and Politics. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work, but that's another event that we're also doing around voter registration and everything. So, and if you want her contact information, I'll be happy to email you, and you could talk to her and pick her brain or whatever, and I'm sure she'd be more than happy to share what all we're doing. So.
Some low-hanging fruit for that as well is if you and your office are stretched thin. I know the State Board of Elections will send representatives out to campus to either do a tabling session or presentations or information session in your local county, and so I definitely encourage anyone to contact their local state board rep and have them come put together some materials for you, and just they can do the work. They're a nonpartisan agency, and they can provide the resources and materials for students and answer those questions that other individuals may not be able to easily answer. One thing I will point out is that October 14th is the North Carolina voter registration deadline, and I wanted to confirm that as you all were having this conversation, but that is the deadline going forward. If no one has any other questions or announcements, there is one up. That's a great advertisement. If no one has any other announcements, I will share one announcement that I don't think many individuals know. The PTK President and CEO, as well as the Vice President of Membership and Engagement, will be here at the system office to meet with Dr. Williamson and a number of our administrators here. And so if you have any particular questions, if you also serve as a PTK advisor, or if you are familiar with who the advisor is on your institution, please send those questions to me, and we'll definitely pose those to the CEO and President. Obviously, with the number of colleges that we have in our system, we have the third largest PTK in terms of number of chapters. There are 56 of the 58 community colleges in North Carolina that have a PTK chapter, and so we have a fairly large, fairly large organization. And so, if you have any questions or concerns or things you'd like for us to address with the CEO and Vice President, please let me know, and I'll make sure I will share those, and that meeting will take place in 2 weeks on the 23rd. If there are no other questions, does anyone have any final comments before we go this morning? Shane, Mr. Umberger? No? Well, gang, thank you all for being with us this morning. Oh, I will say one more thing. Sorry. This is my contact information. My cell phone number is at the bottom. Feel free to call, text, send a carrier pigeon if you need to find out any information, and I will do my best to dig that up for you and get an answer to your question as quickly as possible. Lastly, I cannot do this alone. This is our team, and so. But as you know, Dr. Sepich will be leaving and stepping down in 2 weeks, and so want to say goodbye to her. And if you have a pre-established relationship with her, make sure you please reach out to her and say thank you and goodbye and good luck. Lastly, I always start by saying it. I'll end by saying it. Thank you for everything that you do for our students, and enjoy your work week, and we'll see you on the next webinar.
Hey, JJ?
Mm-hmm.
One more quick announcement. I forgot to say this. The extramural, intramural, Jody Thompson, we are at Fall Conference going to collect money again for the American Breast Cancer Association, Susan G. Komen, and we're going to have, I think it's going to be a competition between divisions this time, so Eastern Division, Central, and Western, to see who can bring in the most money for the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation. So if y'all want to compete in that, make sure that you bring your spare change or dollars or what have you with you to the conference, and we'll be collecting that for Susan G. Komen.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for being here. Have a great morning. I'm going to officially pause and stop the recording.